I mentioned that we're going up to Sacramento for an event tomorrow, a straight pride parade. I'll be speaking there. And so James is not going to be doing his show at 9 a.m. He will be in studio with me in the last hour today. And so we're going to go up there. We'll be back Saturday night for church on Sunday. So we'll be having church on Sunday. I have with me Don Grundmann. And Don is running for Senate of California and he's putting on the Straight Pride Parade in Modesto, California this weekend. And I asked Don to come on so that we can kind of talk about that because it has not been easy to put this event together. So, Don, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. So, what caused you to even consider holding a straight pride parade?
Well, I got the genesis of the idea from Mr. Hickman in Dixon, California, who was the vice mayor of that city at the time. He had his own small business of newspapers where he would walk down the street. It's just a small newspaper where he would walk down the street and be able to put a rubber band, toss it in the driveway, and keep going. And he had an editorial in his own paper saying that why not have a straight pride parade. He ridiculed the so-called LGBT community at that time, and he was extremely attacked at that time. People called him bigots and haters and everything else under the sun. And he was eventually voted out of his office as vice mayor. They wanted him to resign because of his so-called bigotry. But I got the idea from that gentleman of why not have a straight pride parade. But he was incredibly criticized for that. And so he is the genesis of the idea. And for myself, I saw what I consider the advances of that community, the sodomite community, attacking our nation in multiple venues, culturally trying to destroy it. So I felt that it was time to have a cultural response to the so-called pride parades, which have occurred throughout our nation for so many years.
It's an amazing idea. I've heard it's been a nightmare trying to get permission for the event. If that's true, tell us about it.
Well, we actually, the permit process, you go down to the Parks and Rec Department, you take out a form, you want to how should we say it, hold the park for your particular date, and then you just need an insurance policy and a police permit for sound, and you're good to go. And we had all those forms in line. We had the process 99.9% complete. But what happened is that we were immediately criticized as soon as word got out of what we were trying to do. We were criticized. The first attack and the biggest was white supremacy.
Yeah.
We were called white supremacists and bigots, and then smeared as racist. And so actually, although we had the process 99.9 through, the city went behind our backs and contacted the insurance company who voided the policy. And they did that on the basis, one of the so-called bases was that we were bringing violence to the city.
That's amazing.
And we view it that actually the city council lady who attacked us as white supremacists, she was the genesis of the violence because a code word for calling for violence is to call people white supremacists.
Yeah. And
then you have other groups, liberals like Antifa, who will come in and use that to justify attacking us. And of course, if that attack had occurred or would occur, we would be blamed for the violence, which was instigated on us by this council lady calling us white supremacists. So our insurance company, they voided the policy. And so we were kicked out of the park and not able to use it, supposedly for our safety. But it's actually been a blessing because now we have many other avenues building up to be able to express our views in many different ways tomorrow when the event occurs.
Amazing. That's why I tell people when they stand up for what is right, if one door should close on you, another one will open. And so
yes.
Don't give up just because someone says yes and then they say no. Let them be, and something else better will open up for you.
Yes, that's completely true for us.
Yeah. I want to ask you, my attention was brought to a video, Don. I want to play this short video for you and you won't be able to see it because you're on radio right now, but I want you to tell me, what were you thinking when they were overreacting to your mistake you made when you used the word racist something?
Yes.
I want to respond to this video in a minute, but let me play it. This video is of you calling yourself a racist.
Yes.
Popped up, and a lot of people have responded to it. Let's play it, Joel.
Against it, to justify attacks against us in that part, and when they come, you're going to turn right around and say, "Oh, we deserved it. We haven't done anything. We're a totally peaceful racist group." We say we're here to defend all races. Okay, I need that comment. We say we're here to defend all races and colors.
I can clearly see that it was she misspoke. What were you thinking when people overreact to that, start laughing and carrying on?
Well, as soon as I stepped up to the podium to speak, there were audience interruptions, and it just, of course, accelerated after. I consider that I did what I call a Biden, and so after making my Biden, everything else in honor of our former vice president, but. After I did that, of course, their disruption of the meeting really accelerated to a fantastic degree. But they generally in the media, they don't tell what I was doing before. I was challenging that city Congress lady or city council lady for her lies against us regarding being white supremacist group. And so generally that's not played. And also my comment afterwards is that on our website, we come out right at the beginning and we say we're there to defend all races and colors, and so that's ignored. But also I commented that I started a group called the War Alliance, Whites Against Racism Alliance, and I was saying, okay, if you want to call America racist, let's say that we're the most racist country in the world, but because of a group called Planned Parenthood, which was founded by Margaret Sanger, who, in her own words, not mine, called blacks human weeds.
Yep.
And so the whole idea, the cover story was to help women so-called via health and abortion, women's health, as they say today. But the real story was via Darwin and what's called race science and eugenics. She was a fantastic believer in that and one of the leaders in the eugenics movement. So the idea was to wipe out what was called their genetic inferiors, which was blacks, even Irish at that time, because the Irish loved large families and she hated large families.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were fighting against this, if you want to call it racism, it existed. Planned Parenthood, which has killed more than 20 million black children, far more than any other organization. It's the greatest killer of black children and black people in the history of our nation. But who will fight against it? Not all the critics there who were criticizing me, even now to this day, they will not lift a finger against Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
But we will.
Right on. Well, Don, I really appreciate you standing up in spite of the name calling and doing what's right, because unless white Americans stand up and speak up and vote these people out and really do what they need to do to win the country back, it's only it's only going to get worse before it gets better. White people got to start standing up.
Yes. Well, our main motto is normal, natural, healthy, sane. But one of our extra mottos regarding the race condition is that we say that Caucasians are equal, but we're not evil.
Yeah.
Our country is being socially engineered to believe that Caucasians are inherently evil and that anything that has gone wrong in the past, is going wrong now, or will go wrong in the future is because of Caucasians in the current hysteria of our country.
And by whites not speaking up, it looked like it's true, even though we know it's not, but they need to start speaking up.
Yes, and you even had an actress within the last few weeks, Rosanna Arquette, down in your area of the state, who came out and said that she was ashamed and disgusted of her white skin color and her so-called white privilege. And I say we have nothing to be ashamed of. Western civilization, which Christianity is founded on, and Caucasians, predominantly it was Caucasians and Christianity that created Western civilization. That's just biological and historical fact.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we have nothing to be ashamed of.
I agree. Don, I got to ask you this.
Yes.
one of the issues you mentioned for your run for Senate, congratulations, though, for running. I really appreciate that. Running for Senate is the Federal Reserve System, and you say you wish to abolish it. Can you explain that to us?
Well, to give a very quick summation, if you have two economic systems, we'll call economic system A is a three-party system. It's the people, the government, and I'll call it the mob. And the government, instead of using its sovereign authority to issue currency, it goes and borrows it from the mob and then gives it to the people for circulation for their commerce. But what happens is that when you borrow it from the mob, if you go to the mob and say, we want $1 billion, the mob says, sure. They walk in the back room, they print the money, they come out and give it to you, and they say, now you owe us $1 billion, which we made out of nothing in paper and ink, plus interest. That's fantastically important. And now what it boils down to is that when you pay your income tax, you are paying the interest to the mob, the private bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the same as Don's Bank, Jesse's Bank. It's a private bank. It sounds like it's part of the government, but it actually is a private bank.
Yeah.
So the idea of greater prosperity, and there was a great history within our nation of debates over this great question of who issues the currency, the government on its sovereign authority or a private bank. But now the private bank, the mob, has taken over, and we pay tribute to a conquering war party, a country that would conquer our war. We pay tribute every time we pay our IRS taxes.
Amazing.
But the contrast to that is System B, a two-party system where we cut the mob out. And so the government could issue on its sovereign authority interest-free notes where we don't pay interest to the mob, but the interest-free currency is called U.S. notes. And that would lead to a fantastic prosperity. We could cut the IRS out, totally out of our lives, and we became the greatest country in the world economically without an income tax. It's been lost in our history that the IRS and the Federal Reserve is like a parasite on our country, and they've stolen the sovereign authority of the government, and now we actually are ruled. We're slaves to the IRS. We don't, and the Federal Reserve. We don't realize it.
That's for sure.
So I'm promoting that we cut out the mob, what I call the American Mafia, and then we have interest-free currency, and that will lead to a fantastic prosperity for our citizens in all aspects of life.
Well, I hope you win, Don. And the last question, did you know the video of you speaking to the city council is the top thing when you search for your name? It pops up.
It doesn't surprise me because the selectivity of the I'll call it internet powers that be, they'll put that on, but they won't put on my comments about Planned Parenthood after,
right,
or the attack and the smear against us, the racist smear against us by the city council lady before. But that's okay, because it leads, hopefully, people will investigate us further and learn the real truth.
Amazing. Don, tell the folks how to get in touch with you, your website, and all that good stuff, and I look forward to celebrating Straight Pride tomorrow.
Yes. Something to definitely be celebrated. Well, our website is nationalstraightpridecoalition.org. We're on Facebook at California Straight Pride Coalition. And so when people want to come to Modesto to join our event, our parade, we're asking them to look at those two spaces on the internet and get directions of where to go, because we do have a security issue. Our opponents have been bringing people into the area with their hope is to attack us and to stop the event from occurring. This will be the first in the history of the entire nation as compared to thousands of our opponents' parades. But they have to stop us by whatever means possible, so they're trying to import people to be able to do that. So just for security measures, we're announcing where we'll be for our parade at the last minute in order to work to thwart to the greatest degree possible our attackers.
Amazing. Well, I'll see you tomorrow if the Lord is willing and the creek don't rise, and keep up the good work, Don.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, and look forward to meeting you.
Absolutely. God bless you, man.
You too. God bless you.
All right. Amazing. Straight Pride Parade tomorrow is going to be exciting. I can imagine. So, all you all and your mamas, to show up tomorrow, right?